Hello again, it's me, the Unyielding, your host, back again today with another video. Today we are going to be covering the basics. So, what does the basics entail? Basics today will include all the basic mechanics of the game, like your combat, including simple offense, simple defense, and range attacks. We'll also slightly be covering energy management. So, let's get straight into it. We're going to go right here to the training menu. And we're going to go over a couple of our HUD items here. I know I went off on them in my 20 minutes video. However, we're just going to go over them again. So let's turn on the energy. Opponent defends real quick, just to be prepared. So, up here you can see we have my name tag, the Unyielding, and your opponent's. My health is outlined in the orange here, and your energy is in the blue. You can also see both the played classes up here, as well as on the banners on the side, so you can be prepared for your opponent when they come in. So, when you come in, using your ARX buttons, you'll see your energy drain slowly. Now, another fun fact, while you are attacking, there is a certain hitbox inside of you. If you hit yourself, or move your sword inside of a certain point inside of yourself, you lose energy. This is especially impactful for a lot of classes like Monk, or Dragoon, or Berserker, or Crusader. Those classes will be heavily impacted by the accidental impact with themselves. So, as we said, A and X to pull in. Remember the basic combat of this game. Hit your opponent, your blade disappears. Swing it behind your back, it reappears. As you can see, every time I'm going back behind my back, and it recharges. So, let's go over the very fundamental aspects of this game. For now, we're going to pick the Samurai class here, as it has the best idea of how to do some of these techniques. It's very easy to show edge alignment here. And since we're talking about that, let's talk about edge alignment. So, as you can see, your sword here, as a sword typically does, has a sharp end and has a not sharp end. This sharp end is really fast. This end, a little bit slower. And these really not sharp ends, they are really not fast. So, using that, when you go in to attack our opponent, we want to be swinging with the sharp end of the sword. Now, this might not seem too important with classes like Knight or Dragoon that have both of these sharp ends, but would still highly recommend doing it, otherwise your rotation and attack speed is going to be slowed down immensely. So, let's get back into it. See? If I'm accidentally folding my sword over, my swing speed is lowered significantly from normal. Alright, so let's go to the fundamental spins of this game. So, you might have seen during my attacks how I attack from one side and come back on the other. We'll switch to duelist since it's a little bit smaller, easier to handle. So, when we are attacking, and what I notice a lot of new players doing, hitting, coming back, and hitting again. The problem this creates is you're building up all of this velocity, stopping here, coming back, and then hitting them again. Now the issue with that is it's a complete loss of momentum. You're hitting, and then you're hitting. That's 2 hits in 2 seconds. Now, here is what would happen if, let's say, we didn't. As you can see, that is making the hits come through incredibly fast. So the key here is to follow through on your attacks. Don't stop once you hit them. Follow through on your attacks. And this will lead us to our spins. Now, there are 4 fundamental spins. Your first one is your horizontal spin, like this. As you can see, it enables us to attack from one side very easily. Now, how do you do this spin? So, what you'll do, start with your palm up, like you're almost giving someone something, and then bring it halfway back. You'll have your palm out like this. What you'll do is you'll twist it, going from horizontal to almost a kind of downward handshake. Your arm isn't moving too much during this. Then flip it back down, so your hand should be going this way now. So again, fold down, under, and this might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but after you come back up, you're releasing the tension on your wrist. It should be facing 45 degrees up like this. Turning back around like you're about to dab someone up, kinda. And then back down to base. So, and we'll do this slowly. Hand comes around like this. Up, flat. Almost kind of just spinning in a spiral. And with the sword, it will look like this. So you'll see it goes down like this, but it will speed up much quicker once you get it perfected. And you'll be moving your arm kind of up if you want to get that same angle every time. And of course, it's the opposite for the other one. Just do your hand, do the exact same motion, but on the other side. Now we have our vertical spin. This one. Come down, swing, bring your hand back around, something like this, and then bring it back down to base. So, start horizontal for you guys. Bring it down, like your sword's at the ground, angled so it's back towards you, angled up, so it's like that. Your hand is facing this way. Back towards here. Swing it back around. And then reset. And usually I start this way. That makes it a little bit easier than if you were doing this, like that. So, hand motion like that. Or if you're new, here's a simpler hand motion. This one is simply coming through, tilting, bringing it back down, and coming back up. Alright. Now you should have your upward spin as well. This is useful for attacking the legs. This one is not hard at all. This one is just swing up, flat, up, flat. And this is for those bladed classes here, so this will work one-handed with Knight, one-handed with Dragoon, one-handed with Samurai, one-handed with Duelist. It will work for Scourge, but Scourge needs different techniques. It'll work with Ninja a little bit. All these other classes, can ignore those ones. It doesn't apply to those. So, now that we got that part, let me go back to my quick little checklist here. I didn't really prepare too much of a script today, so course, covered figure eights, covered edge alignment. Now we have basic feints. I will be making an advanced techniques video so that we can cover more complex feints, but today I'm just going to cover the basis of what a feint is so that you can incorporate it into your attacks. So, feinting. Think they're going one way, go the other way. Make them think you're going one, go the other. Now, feints can come in a variety of sizes. You've got your light feints, which would just be like a quick duck or quick overhead. You have your major feints, make them think you're going up and then go down. You have wobbles. Wobbles are like this. It's sort of a just straight up-down motion or a straight vertical motion. What this does is essentially prepares them to block up here, but they block down here instead. So say I was going like that, or like this, that would end up hitting. Unfortunately, the bot is not exactly human, so its mind doesn't really make lapses in judgment. Instead, it just kind of predicts it. So you can't really find most of those on here. So, now that we've covered most of your defense, we can do a little, or most of your offense, sorry. You have your range attacks. Now, range attacks come in a variety of flavors. You got your 10 flavors of ranged. We'll go over all of them here just for a quick run over. Some people have a hard time figuring it out. Duelist, you have a stationary beam here. When you have it, press the trigger to activate it and push bolts. You can hold this or tap it and fire it in small bursts. Monk, hold it with one hand. It has to be your non-dominant hand that you hold it with. Dominant hand, pull back with the trigger and release the trigger. And it's a bow. Simple as that. Ninja, press the trigger, release, and you can shoot a bullet. You can also tap this one, or you can hold it to create a larger bullet that does more damage. Knight, using one or two hands, hold the trigger down and swing. You'll just create a large wave. So your trigger should start at your swing point and then just keep going. Reaper, shoot out a orb. When this line at the very top comes into contact with this line here, as you can see, it will shoot off 3 blades. You can just tap this, create range attacks like this. You can position it above or around enemies to disorient them. And it pairs nicely with combos. Now, Crusaders, when you tap your trigger, you shoot a small tracking bullet. This bullet, as you can see, this one's a little bit bigger. Depending on the speed of your flail, the ranged attack will get bigger, faster, and do more damage. But it also costs more energy. Samurai, pressing the trigger and slashing the air, you can release a flurry of slashes at your opponent. Berserker, hold down the trigger and smash the ground. Will release a cloud of homing bullets. Dragoon, people tend to get caught up on for this one. You have your parry dagger here. Range attack comes out forwards. And the glaive, range attack comes out of the butt end of it. Both of these are pushed forward like Duelist. However, as you can see, they don't stay. Scourge, hold down the trigger and flick. This one has to be aimed, and it's a little tricky to learn, but with enough practice, it can be pretty overwhelming. And it has a pretty low energy cost, so you can spam it a little bit. Now, you also have another technique for Scourge range attack, which I will tell here because it's pretty fundamental to it. But waving the whips behind your back while holding the trigger will store it and allow you to shoot one out. So hold your triggers, release your triggers, and then press your triggers again, and you can release a stored range attack. You can only store one. So, now that we got that out of the way, range attacks, we will move on to defense. Now, we will turn on a medium difficulty bot like this. This will be a little bit easier to describe with Knight, since it's big, you can see what's going on. We will be doing this one-handed, but I highly recommend you play Knight two-handed. So, let's start some single attacks. Again, defense is the same as offense, but you can attack during it. So, your only focus is to defend here. So remember, swing behind your back to recharge it. Same concept here. Just defend their attacks. Now we'll go over the main guards here for all your bladed classes. Again, it's going to be different for things like Crusader or Monk, different for Reaper. Ninja and Scourge have their own ways, and Berserker has their own way. But all of your other bladed classes will be the same. So, let's start with Hanging Guard. This is the one you'll most commonly see kind of endorsed by most high-level players. This is an incredibly good one to get started with. As you can see, hanging it from up here gives you mostly coverage for your body. This will be a little different with classes like Duelist. Sometimes you'll have to use your shield to defend like that. Or with Samurai, you might have to be moving. Dragoon also has incredibly good coverage, probably the best in the game. But with that defense, when they attack you like this, refresh to your sides. So that's refreshing right here, or right here for hanging defense. Or if you switch, and I'll tell you this next defense because it pairs incredibly well with Hanging Guard, you can switch between them. So this is Horizontal Guard. Horizontal Guard is incredibly good for blocking mid-range on this side to high-range attacks here. So it covers just this little section here, but it is a bridge between hanging and our other form, standing. So we'll trigger another attack here. For this one, hanging, horizontal. That one we needed to switch back to hanging but didn't. This one, you can see we did standing. Standing Guard refreshes like this and like this. You would pull it back to the side. Demonstrate standing again quickly. Pull back to the side. Pull back to the side. And then we'll do one more so I can demonstrate horizontal. Horizontal, just flick it back up here. You see we switched to hanging there. Horizontal also refreshes like this, like a cover kind of opening, or bringing it back here. And I would switch to hanging on this side. Hanging or standing covers this side. Hanging will cover this entire section here. Standing will cover everything from up here, but not down here. And then vertical, this horizontal guard, will cover this and this area here, as well as being able to switch, say if they hit here and then went down here, what you can do, swing it back down and defend. So, now that we've got our defense, range attack, all that good stuff out of the way, what we're going to get into now is energy management. So, we're going to go into a bot match for this one. Energy management is a key part of this game. Absolutely key. Determines when you can attack, how long you can attack, Can you throw off range attacks? What's your enemy's energy? Now, starting off the game, typically, you'll see a lot of high-level players charge up just to that little point up there on the health bar. That little point is perfect for charging at the start of the game. When you start, what you can see is that the energy's here, but there's almost no vulnerability here. Your energy regen always starts at 0 at the beginning of the match, so charging immediately has almost 0 downsides. Starting with ranged attacks at the beginning of the match isn't recommended, as it throws out energy that would not otherwise be needed. As the purpose of ranged attacks in and of themselves aren't to do damage, that's very low damage. The purpose of ranged attacks is to reset your enemy's energy regen. When an enemy takes damage, or they finish doing their melee attacks, you see their energy regen gets set back to 0. Now, when that happens, they'll start to pick up in speed, but that's why for our range attacks to reset it to 0, so that they can't come in more or throw out range attacks. So, now that we've got our energy, what you would do here, if you have a full bar of energy, don't use ranged attacks. Don't sit there and just spam range. It's not going to be effective at all. It's only giving your opponent time to defend your range attacks and charge up their energy. You could easily go in and get a lot more damage just from melee. As you see, I'm going to stop our opponent from charging there. And also, because of their energy, what they did was take a chunk of vulnerability to their health. So, seeing that little bit, we're going to go in and try to capitalize off of that, which we do. And here I'll make a little demonstration. I'm going to charge up my health bar and let them attack me. And we can see how much damage this one scimitar does. This is a medium difficulty bot, no damage adjustments. This is the damage he's getting from one sword. Only one. You really need to be careful, because here's what Knight can do. 850, 540, and that's over 1,000 damage in one hit because of that energy they just charged up. If you have enough energy and your opponent charges up, rush in and capitalize on it. Capitalizing on that energy will give you a huge lead if you can, profit on it correctly. So, I think that should cover all the combat basics that were necessary for today. Thank you for watching. I will have an advanced tutorial out in the future, near future. That one will mostly be geared towards gold or platinum players, maybe even players above that tier. Just something for them to really focus on so that they can figure out more techniques to use for the game. I know sometimes it's hard to breach the gap between gold and platinum, and once you get to platinum, that's really the point where you know that you've kind of made it in this game. That's the point where you're able to participate in tournaments or do all of your other stuff. So, as always, have a good morning, have a good evening, whatever it is for you. Good afternoon. I've been your host, the Unyielding, and thank you for watching.